Hello and welcome back to Clownfish TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles, and it's only me today. But we're going to talk about this. It was in the Hollywood Reporter, and I have to think it's very interesting and very funny because it's pretty much everything that we've been telling you for years. So they put an article out saying, now what? The 5 crises confronting a post-strike Hollywood, talking about all the issues Hollywood is going to see after the strike. Now, a lot of these issues were already in play before the strike. I just find it interesting that we've said the same things for a long time. And the people in the know and the people on Twitter are like, Clownfish, Clown Town, Clown Shoes, you don't know anything that you're talking about. You never worked in the industry. You don't know anything. Well, apparently we know something, bitches, because we were right about pretty much all of this. And now the Hollywood Reporter is saying it because it's safe to say it now. So we're going to talk about that. Before we get into it, I do want to remind you that we are doing a Shadowbinders Volume 3 pre-order for the 3rd book. It is the first new content that's been out for like 10 years. Part of the book was the rest of the webcomic that we had online, and then part of it is going to be all new. From now on, the books will be all new content that won't be released online prior. It is the 3rd book. The other 2 are available. If you missed those, there are limited quantities of those. So you can go check that out on shopclownfish.com. And we appreciate all your support. Thank you. Please, if you haven't done so already, like and subscribe. If you do, I'll give you a woohoo. Woohoo for you and woohoo for everybody who already has too. So we're going to talk about this. I really want to do this one with Neon because he would be very vindicated for so many of these things. But he's busy and can't, so he told me to do it without him. So it's sad, but we're going to do it without him. So there's this article, and they're putting it out about, we're going to wrap up the strikes, but don't pop the champagne because there's going to be some big, crises that are still going to loom. And they're all things that we've said have been a problem with Hollywood for a while now. The strike is just going to probably, speed up the process. I think studios are using the strike as a way to get away with some of the things they've been wanting to do. But it's all things, if you listen to the channel, we've already mentioned. So they're talking about how the strike's ending, and it was an era of 599 scripted shows a year with 599 cast and crews employed. So that's the problem. You had too much. There was far too much. A lot of it was subpar crap. It was just you out there greenlighting everything because you're all deciding you're going to, each be a streaming service, and you needed a bunch of shows for your service. Instead of just creating shows for other services, y'all wanted to have your own. So y'all were greenlighting all kinds of stuff. And then you had the whole issue too where, we have to have mandates in there and all these shows have to be, so much diverse here and so much diverse there and agenda here and agenda there. And then they realized, oh crap, people aren't watching these shows. I mean, there are a couple good ones that are done organically or that are, ones that people like, but for the most part, they don't do well. And some places were canceling them ahead of time, like that, anti-racist baby show and some of Meghan Markle's stuff and that ahead of the strike. But a lot of it wasn't being canceled because they didn't want to take backlash. And this is just not sustainable. The studios have already lost so much money ahead of the strikes, and now they're out asking for more. But I can tell you for sure, we've been saying it, there's too many shows, and you're going to see probably half of those shows on the other side of this because they're going to use this as a reason. They already are using it as a reason. After the different strikes went past so many days, they were canceling deals. And I think they're doing it on purpose. Yeah, I think somewhat. But I think also when they're ready to settle and them going, we want more money at the last minute, wasn't helping their cause either. So here are the 5 reasons they're saying it's going to be different on the other side. I argue that a lot of these were already in play before the strikes. Streaming is a lousy business. So they're talking about basically the fierce competition. Back when it was just Netflix and then you had some on Amazon Plus and then you had Hulu, it wasn't too bad because everybody was creating content for those services that existed. And it was nice for the studios because you could just make a show and then they'd pay for it. And then you get, residuals and things like that. Well, now that everybody wants to be, their own streaming service, it was never going to work. We said it was Highlander from the beginning. It's a streaming wars for a reason. There's too many options and they're all too expensive. They all keep raising their price. And what's going to happen is the cream's going to rise to the top, and the ones that are either affordable and good or just good in general are going to make it. And a lot of these streaming services are cutting back because it costs way more than they thought. They were putting quantity over quality, and that was a problem. And they're saying here, The streaming battles look very lucrative. Entertainment giants and made their rich profits vanish faster than CNN Plus. For those who don't remember, CNN Plus, Warner spent $500 million and it lasted like 3 weeks. Again, they could have just given me a bunch of money and I would have told them, hey, you know what? Bad idea, and saved them probably like $400 and some million. They said they're called the streaming wars, really trace their origin back to 2017, 2018, when everybody started saying they were going to go over their own streaming service. Disney's holding in there. HBO Max is doing pretty well. But there's just so many. And what's going on is for the consumer, it's too expensive. Now, they're all trying to do that thing where you get like a lower price if you do the ad-supported stuff. But like Netflix does the ad-supported tier, but it also limits how many screens you can play it on. And if you want to play it on, if you have more people in your house than just one, and you want to play it on more screens, you have to pay more money. And the problem is, just like cable TV before, it's just getting too expensive because you're paying for all these channels and all these services, and you're paying more than you would have paid with cable. And I think a lot of people can't afford it, especially in the economy being the way it is. So these companies overspent. They said their annual net income jumping from 186 million to 559 million. I'm talking about Netflix. And basically everybody else saw this and they're like, I want a piece of it too. All right. But the problem is if you have a pie and a pie is split into like 3 pieces, they're all big pieces. The problem is when you start splitting it up into 30 pieces, they're all tiny pieces of pie. Some might be bigger than others. And that's the problem. They all wanted a piece of the pie, but they end up killing the pie because of it. So they're talking about how it could even work as a business model. And they said, they're talking about Disney. And they said that the company plans to make less content and spend less on what it does make. So they're trying to get Star Wars back to theaters as a priority, which theaters are going to come into play here in a bit too. And you've already ruined Star Wars. Here's the thing, but every time you do a show on Disney Plus, you devalue it. Like, you started out okay with Mandalorian, you won some fans back after your, sequel trilogy disaster, and then immediately you killed that too. It's like you get Golden Goose, you want as many eggs as you can get till you squeeze it till it dies. And that's what you did. You killed Star Wars, and now you're like talking about the movies, but the shows are already, people don't care. It's just too much. When there's too much, you just don't want it anymore. Part of the reason people wanted it was because it was, something that happened rare. Like it was like a once in a while fun thing. It was a treat. It wasn't like an everyday vitamin, it was like a nice treat every so often. And you've made it a Flintstones vitamin. So, and it's not as good. And that's saying something. So they're talking about that. So they go down, that's their one reason. They're talking about everybody competing with each other and all that, which we've mentioned many, many times. 2, peak TV is over, so is peak pay. So they're talking here about how they said that the peak TV was in 2015, the year they saw 420 scripted series, on TV screens. Well, since, we've had all these streaming services, they're doing far more with far less. And they're putting quantity over quality, and now they have 600 scripted shows, but they weren't going to TV so much as they were going to streaming, which I think that's why they're switching to now ad-supported, because they're trying to make it back like it was with linear TV, where they had extra money from it. So they're saying the once frothy overall deal market has been cooling. Those studios used a strike to shave several months of certain packs and quietly let go of others to expire. Yes, because they wanted to get rid of them, probably because they were hires for certain agenda reasons, and they didn't think they were going to bring the eyeballs, and they were just going to be flushing a bunch of money down the toilet. So of course they used the opportunity to get rid of them. I would have done the same. I mean, because I knew if they did it normally, there'd be all kinds of other disputes. This gave them the right to do it. People would be going to Twitter and screaming their heads off about how they're against diversity. And this way they can say, no, we had an out because of the strikes and things like that. And they're still being quiet about what they're canceling for the most part. Deals are going to be connected way more to, wow, your pilot's fucking great. Or the show's premiered and it's fucking great. Let's lock this person up. You're actually going to go for people who actually deliver. People who know what the hell they're doing. Because the problem is when you have so many shows greenlit, you end up getting a lot of people because you need that bodies in the seats that aren't qualified to do something. And so they're more there because they want to push a narrative than they want to push a story. And what happens is when it doesn't resonate with people, they might not be that talented to begin with. So talented people stay. The less talented people are probably, not going to be there because you have to prove you have what it takes. And a lot of people can't do that. So they're talking down here about that. And it goes on about this kind of stuff and how they're going to have to basically put money behind series that work. 3, Even Taylor Swift can't save theaters. Taylor Swift is kicking butt in the theater with a concert tour movie that's even outdoing the one movie they thought was going to be really, really big. And it's basically beating everyone. And it's funny, but they're saying that before 2019, the box office was great, but because of COVID, it changed the way people see movies. And that is the point we've been trying to make. And I think this is what happened with the Haunted Mansion. Unless it's a big movie that you feel like you have to go see because it's a cultural phenomenon, people aren't going to the theaters. They're like, I'll wait till it's on streaming. I'll wait till it's on Disney Plus. And this is what happened to Pixar, but Disney did it to themselves because they kept relegating Pixar to Disney Plus. And they basically trained their audience that if they just wait, it's going to be on streaming. Or if they just wait, they can just buy it on Vudu and they don't have to go to the movie theater. So the theater model has changed, but it's been because of COVID. And I don't think it's necessarily anyone's fault, because what were companies supposed to do? You had to do something in the interim to stay, in business. So they did the one thing they could do, which was release it on video on demand or on their streaming services, sometimes free, sometimes paid. And they had no choice there. But it's going to bite the theater model in the ass because now a lot of people just broke the habit. We've talked about this several times. Habits are broken. You realize I don't have to see every Marvel TV show or movie. I don't have to see every Star Wars TV show or movie. And people, are like, I can just wait until I can watch it at home. And then I can watch it, but I don't have to worry about people making noise. If I want to get something to eat, I can get up and get something to eat. If I go to the bathroom, I'm not missing anything. I don't have to worry about getting sick. I don't have to pay I pay one price to just buy it. And that's probably way less than I would have paid at the theater. And I think that the market changed, the consumer changed, but they did it to themselves when they started doing it this way. But on the flip side, I don't know what else they could have done. It's just the way it is. All right. So they're saying there's a lot of research showing that some people are now sitting on the sidelines. This is founder of the Quorum. It could be they became used to watching films at home, or that they are fearful of being in a closed, dark space. Whatever the reasons, they are real and meaningful. The change for theatrical is how do studios make up for the losses? And they said one veteran studio distributor thinks trying to get back $11 billion should not be the goal. The goal should be to be leaner and meaner and more profitable. And I think that's what's happening is they keep spending the Marvels, for example. What they say they spent $270 million on it. They said it's going to have to make $600 or $700 million just to make a profit, break even and make a profit. But it's already tracking for not doing anywhere near that. Because you spent too much money on something people didn't want. Because the problem with Disney especially, they keep trying to make these characters stick, even though people have repeatedly, with their wallets, voted against them. And they will not take no for an answer. And they're going to make it happen, even if they have to spend twice as much as what they planned. Another case in point, Snow White with Rachel Zegler. Pretty much everyone thinks this movie should not happen, or should be a Disney Plus thing and just, eat the loss and move on. But Disney will not do that for whatever reason. And because of it, their budget keeps going up and up and up. And we still have another year to releases. And if there are reshoots or things that are happening, it's going to cost even more money. And there's no way in hell it's going to break even. It's a live action remake. People don't want these. They keep announcing more. Just recently, people are like, oh, did you see they're doing Tangled and Princess and the Frog and Rapunzel? And it's like, yes. Here's the thing, though. They announced, except for Frozen, they've announced those a long time ago. I mean, they were not announced, but it's been in the rumor mill for a while. I wrote an article back in August on the Pirates and Princesses blog I run about them. Princess and the Frog, Tangled, Tarzan, they've all been rumored for a long time. The only one that was new was Frozen. So those aren't really new things. I don't know why everybody's acting like they're a big new deal, because they're not. But the point still stays the same, irregardless, which is no one wants them. It's a waste of money. Unless you're using them for content for Disney Plus, in your ways, they're still throwing more good money after bad, because it's not going to increase your subscribers any, so you're not making any money. There's no point in doing it. But instead of investing in new ideas and new things, Disney's going to just take what they have and try to, reinvent the wheel again, and it doesn't work. It worked initially when, one, you had stories that, people really wanted to see in live action. Two, you kept it pretty much consistent with the original. I mean, they had changes. Cinderella was a lot different than the Cinderella animated. Maleficent, clearly different than Sleeping Beauty. But the difference is were that it was something a little bit different, but you still, except for Maleficent, you still mostly respected the characters. So when you had Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast and Lion King and stuff, it did well. But now you're race swapping characters, and now you're trying to change things like that. And now Snow White, the actress, has come out multiple times and talked about how much she thinks it's problematic and hates it. What do you think is going to happen? And I'm sorry, some things like live action Bambi should just not exist. Why do we need that? We don't. It's abomination, so don't do it, as Lila would say. So, they're talking about that and how we now have, Killers of the Flower Moon. That's the movie that gets ass kicked by Taylor Swift. People are wanting to see what's fun. They're going to see Taylor Swift because it's something that's in demand that they wanted to go see when it was in concert but couldn't afford to go see. And this makes it accessible. It's something people want. When there's a demand, people will go. That's the thing Hollywood doesn't understand. When you have stuff that people don't want anymore, like Force Awakens. You had the perfect opportunity to give audiences what they wanted, which was Han, Luke, and Leia together again, leading a new generation. And you blew it. And then every movie after that, went down further and further. And by the time you got to Rise of Skywalker, you just pissed everyone off. You guys keep trying to tell everybody what they want instead of listening to what people are telling you they want. And that's a big problem. You're not giving them what they want. People want to go and have fun. They want to go and be scared. They want to go and, be excited and be invested. And it doesn't matter if it's brainless, if it's just dumb fun. They want escapism. And all you guys keep giving them is more pandering bullshit and hitting them over their head with it, and it's treating them like they're dumbasses and they're all istophobes, and that you have to lecture them. And people don't want that. I'm sorry. It's really not that hard. It really isn't. The AI battle lines are just being drawn. Well, AI is a problem. I'm not going to say it's not. I think it's a tool to be used. The issue is when AI replaces people. Now, Neon gets a lot of crap for this, but I don't think he's wrong. AI is here to stay. Whether you like it or not, it's here to stay. And I think it needs to be regulated. I think it needs to be monitored and watched for sure. I think that it's not going to go away just because you don't like it. I don't think that because we complain about it, they're going to suddenly say, yeah, let's not do this anymore. You already let the genie out of the bottle, and something like this, I don't think you can put back in the bottle. And that's kind of scary for many reasons. Terminator. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, I think it's going to be used as a tool. And sadly, it's going to replace some people because there's a lot of people, they can't have as many people employed. And I think what they're going to find is that studios are going to limit it and they're going to work with them for now. But I think that it's still going to be something that's going to be used. And I think it's how you use it and intent. That's going to be the issue. I think that people are going to use it, studios are going to use it. They're not going to replace people per se. What they're going to do, because the strike's going to be over and because people got all these big perks and more money, they'll probably just cut down the amount of productions significantly, cut down the amount of people they hire significantly, use AI as a tool, and then they're just going to say, we're not replacing people. We had to cut the amount of people because we couldn't afford them because of the new deal. So they're going to have to use AI to offset the costs that now have gone up because of these new deals. Right or wrong, that's probably what they're going to argue. But they're still going to do it. So then they're talking here. Yeah, I think pretty soon they're going to find the whole shows done by AI, and they're going to probably find them online. Number 5, we have mentioned this so many times. Kids are on YouTube and TikTok. We have brought this up. We have shown you actual data that they have done from the different TV network things like Samba or something like that. I forget what it was, but they were doing who has gone up, who has gone down. And Disney Channel was practically non-existent at this point. But other things like YouTube have gone up significantly. And a lot of the kids' channels and networks, people aren't watching because they're over here. And I think that's for everybody in general, including people listening to this channel. They are tired of the mainstream, so they're over here trying to get their news or trying to listen to somebody who's not going to tell them a bunch of bullshit. And I think that mainstream and linear TV is losing people for that reason. I think there's a lot of free, ad supported content over here. And there's a lot of good content. There's a lot of bad content with kids you got to watch. But there's a lot of good content. And I think that it's pissing Hollywood off. And I think they're trying to get in on the deal. And that's why we've seen recently YouTube has been promoting more network TV stuff, which is absolute crap because they're so mad. They're so salty. There's YouTubers over here that are bigger than the celebrities and the A-listers, and they don't like that. They're the tastemakers. They're the ones in charge. They're the ones getting paid all this money. You're supposed to listen to them. They don't like that there are YouTubers over here that are bigger than they are. There's YouTubers over here that people are listening to over CNN and things like that. So you're talking about that, and they're saying that the belt tightening doesn't address the bigger problem for legacy media companies like Netflix and Amazon. Competition for potential viewers' time has never been more intense, and TV in all its forms, but especially broadcast and cable networks, isn't winning the battle. Linear TV's audience is old, and it's extremely unlikely to get younger. Outside of some live sports, a show or a broadcast or cable TV is lucky to even draw 2% of adults 18 to 49, the demographic for which advertisers usually pay a premium to reach. Without the aid of multiple days of streaming and DVR playback, which many don't involve ads. So what's going on is advertisers want to have an audience. Linear TV isn't bringing the audience. They're taking their money where the audiences are, which is places like here, YouTube. I know my kids for years haven't watched TV that much. They always were watching YouTube. Even before school, they would watch different shows they could see. Now, occasionally they had a couple shows they liked. I know my daughter watched the old Monster High show on we had a thumb drive with some of the episodes on, but they were off of like YouTube and stuff. They would watch Good Mythical Morning and things like that. They would watch these shows before they go to school. Even now, if they're sitting at the table, occasionally my son will watch some old TV shows that are no longer on the air. But my daughter is usually watching TikTok or, YouTube or something like that. And they're talking about different creators as if they were like a show or celebrity that you would have talked about when we were kids as what you had must-see TV, For teens and younger adults, they found other things to watch. The majority of TikTok users are under 30 and spend a lot of time on the app. TikTok users in the United States average more than 80 minutes a day scrolling through videos, according to a 2022 report from Sensor Tower. YouTube users also spend more than an hour a day on the platform. The biggest channels like Mr. Beast or Cocomelon have more than 100 million subscribers worldwide. Right, Cocomelon is on YouTube. And people were like, I'll just put Cocomelon on loop and let my kids watch it while I go get stuff done. Right or wrong, that's what they're doing. So they're talking about that. And where some people are like, you go to streaming because then you can pick what you want. Like, the great thing about streaming is you can go and just, I want to watch a show when it's off the air. I can go watch it. I want to watch this new show, but I only can watch it, on these days. So I'll just watch 3 episodes at a time. And DVR kind of let you do that. But when it was linear TV, you were pretty limited. It was like, whenever it came out that week, that's when you could watch it unless you recorded it. Before DVR, whether it was VHS or something like that, you'd record it. And it was very limiting. With streaming, it's great because you can watch as much as you want and when you want, especially when shows are dropped as one giant chunk. And it's really, really appealing to people. It's also kind of a detriment because you can easily find yourself, not getting anything else done because you're too busy watching content. So you have to, watch that too. But it really is a problem for Hollywood. I mean, they're still making the streaming content, but they have too much stuff out there that's ass. Flat out. Too much stuff out there, it's ass. They keep leveraging IP and legacy IP, and they don't do as well when they, do a new show based on something that was popular before. Because one, it's not like it was when it was popular in the 80s and 90s. People don't watch and consume that kind of stuff the same way they did then. And it's tired and old. And a lot of times it's done with some kind of twist or some kind of agenda. And there's just a lot of stuff on streaming platforms that is just flat out dog shit. And they spent a lot of money. They made sure they spent a lot of money to have quantity over quality. And just like we said it was going to happen, it happened. People are like, I'm spending money on this, it's crap. Or they're just watching what they want to watch and canceling, and the churn is high, and they don't come back until there's something else they want to watch, or until they wait till there's like 2 or 3 things they want to watch it in a month, cancel again. It's not as sustainable as it used to be. But these reasons that the Hollywood Reporter are bringing up now and acting like, oh my God, here are the reasons, guys. We've been telling everybody, if you've watched our channel, I'm right. We've been saying this for a while now. All of this is stuff that we've been pointing out. And it's just so funny to me because people have jumped down our throats and told us we're full of shit. We don't know what we're talking about. They think they knew entertainment industry. They don't know anything. But you know what? There's a lot of people in the entertainment industry that listen to us, and they'll tell you that we do know what we're talking about. And I know this because we've heard from people, and we know what we're talking about. It just took the Hollywood Reporter to now either be allowed to say it or to catch on. So anyway, please like and subscribe. Again, if you want to check out Shadowbinders Volume 3, it is our book series. It's steampunk fantasy romantic comedy. You can check that out on shopclownfish.com. and we'll talk to you later. Bye.